As Mr. Huckabee Mike was just pointing out, pre-dawn raid, 10 vehicles show up, all kinds of agents come there in riot gear, immediately put tape over the doorbell camera so you can't see what's going on. 57 seconds later, there are gunshots heard, and Bryan Malinowski loses his life for something that doesn't even look like there was any crime. I mean, the definition that they were functioning under was that, are you selling firearms as your principal livelihood? That was not the case. He ran the Bill and Hillary Clinton Airport. He was a respected citizen there in Little Rock. He had a hobby of selling some guns, and they come to his home unannounced, pre-dawn, looks like maybe a no-knock warrant, no-knock when they search his home. And, of course, 57 seconds this all happens. After they've been surveilling him, they could have easily showed up at his work, said, hey, we want to search your house. They could have done it in a way where you would guarantee there is no one going to get hurt. But instead they did it in the most dangerous way possible. And today we had his lawyer, Bud Cummins, former U.S. attorney, is going to be on, who did just an outstanding job in the hearing, laying out the facts and laying out how different this was from what should have been the protocol, and frankly, what were the rules? Because the other thing they didn't do is the ATF didn't wear the body cams, which is a requirement. They're supposed to be wearing those. That's their policy. Didn't wear the body cams. So the fundamental question is why? Yeah. Why did they do it this way? What were they trying to hide? What was going on? And we plan on getting to the bottom of that.
Well, let's bring in Attorney Bud Cummins. House, can you add to what Chairman Jordan just gave us?
Well, first, let me tell you how appreciative I am and the Malinowski family is for Chairman Jordan's leadership on this issue. When something like this happens, you don't want it to be, it's outrageous. And the people in Little Rock and the people in Arkansas are outraged. Everybody I talk to is still talking about it 2 months later. But nationally, this is not known, and we're really thankful for this scrutiny. Hopefully, this won't be swept under the carpet. This was inexplicable. It was unreasonable. It was unjustified. This was a very well-respected person in the community who had this hobby and some other hobbies. He liked coins. He liked to collect old currency, and he liked to collect firearms, and he liked to go to gun shows. And if you've ever been to a gun show, it's a collection of people that like to collect stuff and talk about it. It's like Antique Roadshow. That's what this guy did for a hobby. And if you look at the rule that they suspected, not accused, an indictment's an accusation. This was a search warrant. They suspected that he might have crossed over this murky line that only ATF seems to know the definition of, to become a person engaged in the business of selling firearms, even though he made $260,000 a year at his day job. So he thought he had a hobby. They decided it wasn't a hobby, and he got killed for it.
Before I go back to Congressman Jordan, did the ATF break from protocol, besides the fact that they didn't turn on their body cams, which is very suspicious in and of itself? Was protocol broken by them?
I believe it was in a couple of ways. Number one, I think modern training, including the ATF, the training they get, I'm told, would never justify these tactics in this case and under these circumstances. But on top of that, the law says that they must knock and announce and wait a reasonable time for the occupant of a dwelling to come and voluntarily admit them. And there are exceptions to that that allow them to do what I think they did here, which was either no knock or knock and then immediately knock the door down. But none of those circumstances exist in this case. There's no excuse for how they entered the house. And I think it's an illegal search.
Chairman Jordan, I asked the question. They did it to Trump within the early morning or late evening raid, and they came guns blazing, ready to use deadly force. What's going on with our Department of Justice? And again, the ATF and the FBI all reside under the umbrella of the Department of Justice.
Yeah. In simple terms, Eric, this is the weaponization of government. This is government agencies being turned on the very people they're supposed to serve. When you have them break from protocol, break from the rules, execute a search warrant in this manner for a guy who was a respected citizen in the Little Rock community, making $260,000 a year, lives in a nice neighborhood, and does this at 6 in the morning. And then what they did, just for further intimidation, is his wife, who had just seen her husband shot, they keep her in her nightgown in the back of one of their vehicles for 4 hours. Wouldn't let her go to the restroom. Wouldn't let her see her husband who'd been shot by these agents. This is intimidation. This is weaponization of government at its worst. And by the way, this is the same agency that changed a long-standing rule relative to pistol braces that are used by veterans who've been hurt, veterans to be able to shoot firearms. They changed the rule after 10 years. They changed the rule, and now they've made people, if you keep the pistol brace the way it is, you're suddenly a felon, for goodness sake. So when you do that, when you change the rules without it going through the legislative body, without Congress voting on it, if that's not the weaponization of government, I don't know what is. And that's why we're investigating, and we're going to get answers to the questions.
I'll tell you what else. You have to let the citizenry know that the rules are changing. You have to let every American, whether a current gun owner or a future gun owner, know that they've changed the rules. Otherwise, we could end up like a Malinowski. My friends, I appreciate both your time. Again, we've been covering this story straight through with Huckabee, now with you guys. I would love to get you back as it progresses because I want to know how this thing ends. Congressman, Chairman Jim Jordan, Bud Cummins, attorney, thank you both so much.